I have the time as 6:32. So as soon as I find my agenda,
It's just, and it is covered elsewhere.
I will call the work session of the mayor and council for the city of Snellville, Georgia for Monday, August 14th, 2023 to order. We do have a quorum. Everyone is present. First, we'll review the extensive regular business meeting agenda that we have. For the invocation, we have Chaplain Elizabeth Hendrick is coming. Pledge to the flag, someone?
I'll do it.
Dave? We'll have the approval of the minutes. So there's a special called meeting and a regular meeting for the minute approval. Make sure you include that. Under the public hearing, we have a required update or comprehensive plan public hearing. Is that really like a public hearing that will have people come speak? Or is it just going to be?
I think you have to allow any comment.
Okay,
Yeah, just take comment.
okay,
After-
It was advertised.
Yeah, so that way we're covered.
okay.
State can't argue with that.
Okey doke. And then we'll have the second reading for RZ 2303. In the ordinance that was issued or sent out by email today, I think. If I can let you know of one typo that's in there.
On page 3 of 10.
Yes, on page 3 of 10.
Yep.
It was really a test.
Number 5, well, Todd passed the test
He did,
because he found it.
I didn't.
And variance number 5, on the second set of numbers, so the second to the last sentence, it says, requirement to 21 and then 27 feet pavement width, and then it says 24 feet including curb and gutter. It should be a requirement to 24 feet pavement width, 27 feet including curb and gutter.
Trying to figure out how they were gonna do that.
Yeah,
Well, you can do it. It would just.
21, 27.
You'll put the pavement on top of the curb.
Kind of like we do at Summit Chase now. Yeah.
You know, when they keep just adding the top layer to it till it's like literally on top of the
Makes
curb
sense.
on some of these relays.
And it was also covered on page 5 of 10 and 12.
correct.
But that was correct there, so.
That and 500. Terrible.
Yeah, no.
Well, and I see a number 14 here that doesn't have anything.
What now?
On page 5, there's a number 14 that's blank. Should that,
Just knock it
no, there's only 13.
Let me make sure.
He didn't want the unlucky number in there.
No, I do
that's
have
all.
to look in.
Okay.
That's correct, right?
Also, Jason,
Uh-oh.
this is conditions 1 through 11
Yes?
are exactly as they were presented in what the public had. Is that correct?
So it's what's been online.
What's been
When we,
available to the public,
the only thing that changed were
Versus-
these last 3. Yeah.
what we just, and we only added number 12 and number 13. In the last,
Signs,
that the
stormwater,
public-
and we amended the one variance request for the, with the thing from 21 back. Went from
Okay,
30,
but-
27. Yes, they've had, the
But
rest
that-
of this has been online since it was
Okay.
amended as received from the applicant from that last
okay.
round.
I just want to make sure that we make people aware of
Yes.
what they haven't seen.
Right.
And
Should
the
be the
public
last,
agenda.
the last 2,
Okay.
and I'll make sure.
So 12 and 13 only, but
Yeah, because we
everything
only
else
got
is the
those
same.
last Thursday, that last
Okay,
thing.
right, and that's not been,
Yeah, that's not been advertised, I guess, as far as like outside of this document.
and we also need to make that change officially in the record for variance 5? Or no?
Yes, because the ordinance that's been published.
Okay,
Well, I don't know, yeah,
It's
yeah.
actually more restrictive than what's been published, so if that's
It is,
good.
yeah.
okay.
You know,
Well.
so it goes,
But I would make it in your motion,
Correct,
yes.
yeah. You know, that perfectionist tendency.
I mean, well, and honestly, I mean, the safest thing to always do is to read all the conditions and variances into the record. That's always the safest thing to do.
That sounds like a job for the attorney, isn't it?
There are a lot of them,
He doesn't
but
make the motion.
He could still be.
Someone dropped a plate?
That does get your attention though.
Yeah.
Did I miss it? I don't see anything about buffering behind the townhomes in here.
The buffer, I'll speak to that, there is no buffering requirement, there is a 10-foot no access easement that's required, which is basically a pumped up landscape strip. We can add a berm, you can add a fence, you can do a bunch of different things, or we can review it and make sure it's right when it goes on the ground. If you want something specific, you need to state it that's outside of what is required by the ordinance. Because it's the same thing kind of that they have, and I know this isn't a great illustration, but anytime you're on an arterial road or bigger and you have a subdivision that backs up to that road, it requires that extra 10 feet, which isn't necessarily always a requirement for a purely residential neighborhood. This one is kind of in the same thing. They're not required to carry that 10-foot landscape strip all the way down on the sides, but they will be where the townhomes are because it's adjacent to an arterial road. So my belief and intent is covered within the code right now. If you want to strengthen it, if you want to say as robust as the planning director wants it or whatever, we already have that power. So
Okay.
if you want to be super specific and get it in the record, mention it if you'd like. It doesn't necessarily have to be a condition.
So I would just like it to be referred to as that it needs to be planted.
Yeah, you want to do per the code.
Densely
I mean, I'll
planted per
speak
the-
to that too. I'll
Okay.
speak to it when we talk about it. Just ask me the question again.
Do you read that in the code?
I do, and our
Okay.
plan.
That's all you can say.
I'm sorry.
We'll get the full thing.
okay,
I'd
anything
ask the
else?
mayor for another shot at it.
Anything else in the work session for this? Okay. Then that covers the regular meeting. So we will go back to the work session agenda. Any correspondence, Butch?
A lot of correspondence, but none worth reviewing right now.
He's getting a little loose again, isn't he?
What have you done wrong now? Everything?
No, it's all letters about you, Dave.
Oh, is it?
City attorney's report?
The only thing report-wise I'll put on there is we have quality of life court on Thursday. If anyone wants to go, it's going to be a long one, and Jay is going to be in court elsewhere, so I will have the calendar by myself. So we have a good bit of actually litigated matters. So if you're looking for something fun to do on Thursday morning, come to Quality of Life Court.
What time does it start?
Oh, we'll be there at 8:30. Rip roaring to go.
I'm hoping that Chick-fil-A gets to town to work on their property. I've talked to them. So hopefully they will do that before Thursday morning. We'll see. I'll let you know.
Which one?
The old
The old
property
road.
on 78.
78?
Have you been by there?
Yes.
They just kind of totally let it go.
Yeah.
It took Butch going like basically calling all the way up the chain to finally get somebody.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll be here.
I will need a executive session. It won't be long, but I will need that. And then I will, when we get to a discussion item D, I'll chime in on that one rather than doing it here.
Okey-doke. Butch, update on ongoing projects.
Let's see, in the town center, we had a little issue with Atlanta Gas Light when they cut into the roundabout, but we have an agreement on how it will be repaired. We have picked out a color. When they do their repair, when OMSHIV has two pieces to repair, it will all be colored one, a dark red color, and it'll be a glossy finish. We'll put a glossy finish. I don't know if y'all have been by the roundabout on 84 going to Grayson. That's the shinier finish. It's easier to clean, so that's what we have directed them to do. And we've just given that information to AGL and OMSHIF, so they'll get to work on it. We've met out there, talked about it, so they just needed that final direction.
Can I mention something? The other night, I followed a tractor trailer, a Walmart tractor trailer, from 78. He turned onto Wisteria. He went through the roundabout and turned the yield sign because his trailer brushed it and turned it. His back tire went over the curb on the right side of the road, and then, of course, he drove completely over the pavers. He went on down, and then he turned left onto North Road. I did not follow him because I was heading somewhere else. But I can't imagine how he made that turn from North Road onto Oak.
He might have been the guy who took.
You may have been the truck that hit that
Yes,
wall.
that's exactly what
It was a
happened.
Walmart truck.
That's probably who it did, yeah. We got it.
I should have followed him and
What,
taken a,
what night was this?
You should've
this
went
was, let me think of why I was there. Let me let you know, I gotta think.
Was it dark?
We're gonna-
Almost
I
on?
think it was dark.
Let us know.
Yeah, I just need a little thought.
Okay, okay.
I have to piece my life together and I can tell you.
Craig and his folks are gonna clean up that wall. It's a
What
little,
wall did he hit?
The one by, the car wash, you know, and the nice yellow one.
Yeah, yeah.
fence in the wall.
It
And,
caught that whole corner. It's probably exactly what happened.
Yeah, I'm like, he
Going around
turned there
that
and I was
no
like,
way.
where the heck are you gonna go?
Oh, he didn't care.
The county is amenable to having no
And no
trucks.
trucks.
Yes, so we just need to get that put in place as soon as.
Was
Yes.
it Wednesday night, Mayor? Because I saw it and I sent it to Butch at 12 o'clock Thursday afternoon. So I saw it in the morning.
I think it had sat there a day by then, maybe. Because that was, I think,
Might
the
have-
second day.
Might have been before.
Because
I
I
thought
noticed,
okay.
yeah, it's,
Just his luck, he had the mayor following him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of why I was through there.
Yes.
Just do some digging into
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I just need to go back and remember.
yeah, and you
Okay.
can see.
Okay.
Okay.
Just,
Thrive will be opening this week to their clients. As far as Thrive signage is concerned, right now, they will have a ground monument sign out in front of the elevator tower in the landscape area. They will have a wall sign on the wisteria side, on above the back stair tower there. And we think they're going to put a blade sign on one of the corners of the building that you're gonna be able to see it, on Wisteria. To me, Thrive is, and they also had a request for from signage in the terrace area that we push back against. When you think about a co-working space, that's not something that you're driving down the street and you see a sign and you say, I'm gonna go in there and rent space. You know, that's a destination, you're knowing where you're going before there. So I think that's where the signage is gonna end. The county is also in agreement that terrace area is such a pretty architectural feature. It's gonna be utilized by a lot of people. And there's no need for signage out there. So, Jason has worked closely with them, or will continue to, on the temporary signage. So we feel like we have gone above and beyond as far as signage is concerned there.
How are they doing with getting people to sign leases there, do you know?
The last I heard, they're 40 to 50%.
Okay.
So, and before opening, they were hoping for more, but that's not bad.
It's at their pro forma
Yeah,
Yeah,
number.
yeah. You probably noticed the FF&E going in around the Grove, everything from tables and chairs to benches and garbage cans. Things are starting to look good. I'd say we're about 75% installed. The benches got moved today. The statuary will be placed on those over the next few days. We'll be ready for the Friday unveiling. Save a Tree came out and cleaned the understory in the Grove, and looks much better. It's not completely clean. There's still some landscaping there that they think is worth saving. These people have done a great job on our trees. They inject special formula stuff in there. They protected the roots, so we're going to give them a little bit of a shot with keeping some of the stuff that's under there now. The pavilion structure is at about 60%, about 2/3, and Michael Kidd is finalizing that package that he came and talked to us about last time. The arch with the feature on the west side of the Grove. So hopefully he'll be back. Maybe the 28th, it might be September the 11th, but I'm hoping for the 28th.
Do we have a completion date, timeline for the pavilion structure?
We'll have the special shingles, but it'll be early November.
Okay.
So they'll be putting that in November. Sidewalk improvements, held the pre-con last week. They have a notice to proceed on 8/21. So they'll be working on Skyland on August 21st. The county will be done on Pinehurst before we arrive over there. So what they'll do is they'll go ahead and they'll fix the landscaping back the way it is now, and we'll have to tear it up and replace it in the spring.
So all the silt fencing along there, that's all the county
Yeah.
sewer work?
Valley Creek.
Yeah.
Water line.
Yeah.
And
That's what I
they
thought.
move very fast on actually installing it. One thing that I would say, Butch, is looking at the utility poles as Pike has come through and
Yes.
transferred over to the new poles. The old poles are still sitting there with the AT&T, Comcast, everybody. And my experience is they take forever to come out and take care of
Especially
their stuff.
AT&T.
And that's gonna be an issue when we
They're
go to
being
do
pushed.
sidewalk.
Yeah, they're being pushed. Yeah, I've had to
Well, good
take
luck.
my own chainsaw and
Let's
cut
hope it's
down
better than
poles
the
before.
US Postal Service.
Hey, they're on though.
Yeah.
Took $1 million a year.
The recycling sign up, going real smooth.
Yeah, we're
You
about-
guys are handling it well.
Yeah, we're about 60 plus since we started at 1st of August, so that have signed up, so.
We reached out to the people on our list.
Everybody on our list has been
You know.
reached out and signed up, so.
Yep, I hope you guys haven't had any complaints. We have not. Okay, good.
Not about that.
Well, I hope you're handling all those other
Oh,
complaints.
you bet I am.
He's
The,
You get the text. You get the text.
And, I mentioned, Chick-fil-A was supposed to be in court this week. Let's see what happens there. There was a homeless gentleman back there that I talked to, and I called Gwinnett Cares. They were gonna have an interview with him at 2:00 that afternoon, so I hope that got worked out. Stakeholder interviews on the comp plan were held last week. I appreciate everybody's input. The task force meeting is tomorrow at 2:00. As far as development is concerned, Rosebud and 78 is on the agenda tonight. I appreciate you guys working on that, getting it working to get it to a vote tonight. Jacob's overview is also tonight regarding the comp plan. On the package sales, I know we have a little executive session there. All the parties have been notified. That was the outcome at that time. We had 3 qualify, 6 did not. The ongoing appeal process has, the 20-day ticker has already started, and we'll have a discussion about
Are
that.
you able to tell us why the 6 didn't qualify?
Correct.
Are you
In the exec session,
in the exec
we'll
session?
talk about it.
Okay, okay,
or at least the process we'll talk about.
okay.
Briscoe Park progress. We've had a chance to visit with several architect engineers. Matt has done a good job putting an RFQ together that we're gonna put out in the next week or so, have people respond. The wall construction at Briscoe on Pate Lake is complete. There is one section that is lower, that's where the dock will go, the new floating fishing dock. And what we're doing, we're having to have a special bar put in place until that dock gets there, so people don't walk or roll off a stroller
Are they
through
gonna
that.
restock the lake at all, or do you know?
What's that?
Is the lake gonna be restocked, or is it just
That's, we could, DNR would be glad to do that,
DNR? Okay.
yeah.
When we had that issue at Summit Chase, they came back naturally. There's enough usually left,
I mean, it's filling up.
Okay.
so.
The maintenance facility building delivery is expected in August. I think we have a date. Matt has been talking to them, and they're doing a pretty good job on the site work, pouring a lot of, putting rock down from the existing driveway, and they poured a lot of concrete out there. So it's starting to look a little bit like a cleaned up construction site anyway. North in Wisteria, the right-of-way acquisition is looking better. I have revisited with everybody, and so hopefully we tie that up in the next week or two. In the special property owner get-together in Nob Hill, that meeting is set for the 26th. Gretchen, we're going to be coming through the neighborhood tomorrow and putting notices on everybody's door.
Okay.
So that is at 10:30 in the morning on that Saturday morning. Have it scheduled for about an hour and a half, where we will talk about the traffic calming islands. So,
You won't talk for an hour and a half.
no,
Answer
we
questions.
won't even let Larry Kaiser talk.
Talk for 15 minutes and then we'll just
And for
ask
sure,
questions.
Yeah.
Larry will address how it reduces speed, and I'm hoping he'll address,
We have noted in our information the video. We
Okay.
posted,
Okay.
Brian, I think you posted the
I did
video.
not yet.
Okay.
Matt and I are gonna work on that tomorrow.
Okay, so that video that I took in Lawrenceville, or I guess almost in Lawrenceville, off of 20, it will be on there. So,
that'll help for people to really see.
yeah, I think they'll get an idea then. So that's about it right now.
Okay. All right, item B, update from the Christmas decoration committee.
It's our favorite part of the day, isn't it? So I gave everybody my latest handout. I'm gonna flow through some of the highlights. What I mostly need is your input on the last page items, 1 through 6. So we'll go through it all kind of slowly. Feel free to ask questions, and if anybody who is on the committee, feel free to jump in if you feel like I've missed something.
No, I don't think you will.
Okay, well, you never know. More sets of eyes. Okay, so the first issue that, of course, we wanted to work on was the infrastructure, making sure that we have electricity connecting to every pole that we want to actually bring some sort of pole mount to. So Craig has been working on that. Can you give us an update on?
Yes, so I talked to USA Electric today, and if all the materials come in within the next week, they'll be starting at the end of the month on all the decorative poles on Highway 78 and 124 intersections, so he should be able to get going on those.
How many poles, roughly?
300.
So,
It's like 280.
Yeah, but the ones that need repair.
All the decorative ones, which would be
So
120.
between, the new, on 78 and 124, there's 46 that have to be, have all the power around to the outlets for the ground, for the ground.
Does he
wires.
have a timeline idea of how long that's gonna take? Are we gonna
he
be
did-
ready to go by
Oh.
end of October, maybe?
Oh, yeah, he'll be done.
Great.
Probably just a couple of weeks, as long as the weather permits, so.
Okay.
So on those 46 poles, Christie, are you recommending the candy cane, the new style ornaments?
That's what we're gonna talk about. As we go down, just kind of looking through some things here. One of the things that we want to decide, or we want to get some discussion going on, and we need an answer really within the next 48 hours preferably on this. Are we planning to use any of the existing wreaths? We had talked about rotating maybe half of those in and then working in some new pole mounts to purchase and then slowly phasing out the wreaths. The issue there is, do you want the cost now and spread it out over a couple of years? Or would you rather delay? So that's really one of the concerns that I raised here under point 1 on the last page. So we have these wreaths, and many of them are still really nice. They do not really, they don't pop. They're very hard to see at night. The lights aren't that great. So, does anybody have strong feelings about the wreaths, I guess?
Can we just work them in here and there so that we have newer stuff surrounding them, so it's not quite as, it's not a stretch of
We talked
lower
about that, like alternating them or
something.
And then slowly phasing them
Slowly
out.
phase them, okay.
And is there a possibility of replacing lights with LEDs that would be brighter? at a
Those are
reasonable cost?
Yeah, that's what,
They already are.
they are.
It's as
They
good
are
as it
LEDs.
gets.
Can you put more?
Well, you can,
He-
but
yeah.
it's pretty labor intensive
To have
and
to run them.
costly.
Okay.
So by the time you're
How much do you
doing
wanna
that,
invest in?
right, and
Yes.
things that are not that great in the first place, whereas if you wanna replace it, we can replace it. Or we can do half this year and then do it slowly next year as well. So that's something to think about.
That's would be my preference, is that you keep what we've got or start intermixing new stuff in with that, but delay the full brunt of the
full
cost.
brunt, okay.
Yeah.
And we do have, as far as the actual telephone power poles, now we do have a wreath and bow for every telephone pole. So there's like there's 120 telephone poles that have power that we usually hang them on, so we have wreaths and bows for all those. Now, as far as the decorative poles, there's a lot of new decorative poles, so, as far as the count, maybe 3/4 as far as, because it would be wreath, banner, wreath, banner,
Banner.
downtown, around.
Not doing banners.
No, I'm saying that's what it was before,
Okay,
so,
gotcha.
so if you look at the total
Starting
count of
to
decorative
look
poles of
out.
154, there's not a wreath for every pole, because, and there's a lot of new poles, so, but the way that we had it decorated was wreath, banner, so
Okay.
there's not as many wreaths.
So we would-
There's not as many wreaths for decorative poles, I guess is what I'm saying, as there is for all the telephone poles have wreaths. So, just to make sure everybody.
If we're gonna do that, we still would like to outsource the install on the wreaths and not leave that on Public Works.
Nod your head yes if that's
Okay,
right.
that's correct. Okay, yeah, Craig has done a great job in counting the poles, driving around and counting those, which I have no idea. So the two different sizes add to the complexity, because that means we're gonna need to piece in some items that are 7 to 8 feet for the telephone poles. And then we're gonna need to piece in some items that are in the 5 feet range, 5 to 6 feet, for our decorative poles. So we mostly got the numbers handled up front for that, before we place that order. So just so you know, that's an issue. Another issue we're running into is that we have banner brackets on our decorative poles. Those need to come off before we can put our pole mount decor on it. Who's going to change those out is what we're also getting some quotes on. So if we have,
So those would come off permanently, and we
they
wouldn't have
can
the
go back on
banners?
if we want to rehang banners. So if you look around.
Does that mean we're taking the banners down around the green and everything? We wouldn't have banners around the green anymore?
Well,
You can
if-
speak up, Kelly, as you're over there nodding your
Okay.
head. You're part of the committee.
Jump in, Pat.
So I would say that the green will still have some banners. However, you can't completely remove those pole mounts because you'll have a hole in the decorative pole. You'll leave like a hole there, right, Greg?
Yeah,
Isn't it
so
like-
so after Christmas, we basically put everything back so that it's, that they all have the banner poles back
So
on the
they
poles
have-
immediately, so we take them
Oh,
out.
so you take them
We
down
take
now
them off.
anyway?
We take them off, if there's gonna be a wreath there, we take the banner poles off, and then when we come back after the holiday, wreath comes down, the banner poles go back
Okay,
up.
okay,
So-
okay,
And again, that's something they've done, but we're,
okay.
Could outsource
transfer,
it.
right. That's the goal, to lighten their load.
And what's gonna happen with the banners if they don't go up?
Well, what they're saying is they would go back up for the rest of the year.
Okay.
The banner poles.
The
You're
banner.
asking about the actual Christmas banners?
Banners, the actual Christmas
Yeah.
banners. That's what I'm asking, not the poles,
Yeah.
the actual Christmas banners. If they're not being used, what's gonna happen to them? Where can we maybe put them, I don't know.
Well, like everything, we liquidate them on
I was gonna say, we
government.
could always sell them
website.
to another city,
Is that what we wanna look at?
which we could also do with the wreaths
With the
we're not
wreaths.
gonna use in
Potentially.
the future.
Okay, so we can talk about that and finalize. So as we go down to item B, one of the things to consider, and I could use some input on, is the leasing versus purchasing. We have been working with two vendors in particular. One of them specializes only in leasing. The other specializes more so in the manufacturing purchase aspect, but they are beginning to work in the area of install, maintenance, and leasing. So, we're kind of thinking tentatively, we're waiting on quotes from a second vendor, which should be coming in tomorrow. We're gonna do a Zoom call with them tomorrow. And we should be really ready to move forward once we see some of those numbers. But initially, what I'm thinking, and I think what we are all thinking, we didn't really get a chance to discuss it today, but that we probably would be best served by going to a purchase for the pole mount aspect, outsourcing the install, and using the other leasing company in the areas of the Grove and also the areas of the town green that would really benefit from an artist's perspective. So, a little bit of lease, a little bit of purchase.
Christie, you didn't really talk about, I don't think, number 2 under A. Did you want to mention anything about that?
Oh, yeah. Well, one of the things that when we were walking through the Grove, limited power access is a concern in the Grove area. We would really like to light up the trees, but we need power to do that.
Like the trees
We-
between the road and the parking deck?
We talked about that up in the pre-meeting. We need to have, y'all need to meet with somebody from Hodges and Hicks or Roger White to make sure that you have all the power sources identified
Yeah.
properly.
I mean, are they planning to retrofit them?
No, I mean, there should be power out there. There may not be power for every idea that you've got, but there should be power out there.
Okay. Well, we were just concerned about that because as we run these power cord extensions and safety,
Yeah,
just wanted you to know.
you don't want cords running
Right,
everywhere.
yeah, okay, cool. One of the items that we're looking at was lighting up, track lighting. Look for City Hall and the Adult Activity Center. We really need to have everything pressure washed before we get into really any discussion, serious discussion about going in that direction.
We've got quotes for that, and we'll get an update this week. And I hope we'll get it done. I wish you would move forward on that. I think that makes that's a good and positive impact.
Okay,
Good, good.
okay.
Do you, both City Hall and the
And the adult
all
center.
government, or just City Hall?
I've got to say, I mean, we can talk about this and pick what we would like, but a lot of this comes down to how much this is gonna cost.
Right.
I mean, we could pick all of this stuff and it comes back at $400,000 and I'm gonna say no to that.
Well,
But, I mean, we gotta look at, you know, what we have for budget and what we can build into and all of that. So, I mean, like I said, I can kind of tell you which way I would pick
Okay.
if money wasn't an object, but it's gonna come back to what the quotes are, to me.
absolutely. We do have a quote on that particular item from one vendor, but waiting on the other. So we do kind of have an idea. So I'm not gonna go over the decor in the existing areas because those are also details I think that you can go through on your own. One of the bigger concerns that I have, as we flip the page, look at the backside, the decor in the Grove area. We talked about a showstopper possibility, and I've included some prices that we've received. These are generally what these items would be if we were to purchase this item. But if we lease that item, generally that's going to be the same price, but we're just incurring that cost each year. So let's say we want the candy canes 1 year, and we get our price of $14, $15 roughly, the crossing candy cans. And then maybe next year we want the walk-in ornament feature, different price.
Were we not obligated for 3 years on this?
We are, but sounded like she has some leeway, and
Okay.
it sounded like it's very dependent right now on what's in stock and what's available within a few months. So that's really the biggest part there. The concern though that I have is this, as you're looking at these numbers, my personal favorite, scene 28 at 17,000. This is an incredible amount of money to spend on a showstopper for an area that really doesn't have any retail.
And it's not complete yet.
Right.
You're gonna have 3 construction projects still going, well, 4 or 5 construction projects potentially going on.
So my question is, do we do anything with the Grove this year for Christmas holiday?
I think, I mean, my thought would be at the Grove, we decorate the light poles that are out there, we decorate where we can with just normal decorations, but we don't do any kind of big scene like this there until next year when everything's more
I think
complete.
those trees between the parking deck and the library would be really pretty if they were lit.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
Yeah, I think as people drive.
that and
it's
some,
very
and
gonna
the,
be-
you know, whatever the decorations are that are going on light poles and stuff, you know, do those types of things.
So tree wrap,
Tree,
lights?
tree lights and,
Okay.
you know, the pole stuff around the Grove.
Is
But-
there power by the Grove? Can you light any of those trees easily?
Yeah, because there's going to be uplighting in those trees. But if the, you definitely need to lease those because they need to go up and come down because those trees are
Right,
young and
right,
growing.
Exactly,
So,
yeah. So the tree wraps, feeling is that we do want to,
Yeah.
want to go forward with those?
And stuff on the light posts and stuff, but
Right.
I'm like you, I don't think that I would spend a lot on like the big Christmas present or this big scene
Right.
out there when there's
Not
just,
this year.
it'll be limited activity out there this year because there's not as much happening yet,
Exactly.
We
yeah.
don't even know what we can get this year anyway.
Yeah.
because it-
Right,
yeah.
but if we had our eye on something specific in here, we can talk about making sure that we have that piece
For
for next year.
yeah.
So that's, okay, great,
We're going to meet with David Bruner tomorrow, so I'll update him on that.
okay,
Trees, poles,
great.
and then do more
Can I ask a
in the
question,
future.
Rich? The uplighting in those trees, we looked and we didn't see where we could, it says power where the uplighting is in the individual trees.
We'll talk about power
Yeah.
with that other, yeah.
Okay, so just kind of going to the discussion and immediate action items, things that we need to decide. I think we've already talked about number 1. Number 2, the thoughts on permanent lights for City Hall, Adult Activity Center. One of the quotes that we have per year, and this is, they're gonna maintain it, they're gonna manage it, these are soft white lights for City Hall is about 10,000. For the Adult Activity Center, it was around 4,000. And this, if we wanted to keep that going from a year-to-year basis, that is a fee that would repeat the following year. So
When you're saying permanent
that's a
lights,
lease.
you just mean like Christmas lights? They
No.
would go up and come down?
Outline the
No,
buildings.
They stay up all year, and they are, you described
They're
it.
track
Well, they're-
lighting. You have two
Yeah.
choices, one lights that goes up and comes down, track lighting, once it's up, it stays up year round. And so we could actually use that lighting for different holidays and have like red at Valentine's Day or green for St. Patty's Day, you can have red, white, and blue. But it's track lighting that will go on the top of the roof line.
Okay.
We don't allow
Hey, hey.
Is
we allow-
that, does that
Getting
violate?
devices.
Yeah, you just be
Attention
quiet.
getting devices.
Christie, we're gonna need to speed along because we still have a
Okay.
couple things
I
left.
know, that's.
And cover number 3, cover number 4. Other thoughts, concerns? Anybody have?
Till we see prices, it's hard to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get there in the next one.
Right, we'll have everything finalized a little bit more tomorrow. Okay.
I would think we definitely need to move forward with the light pole lights that we do on our main streets, to intersperse decorations along 124 and 78. And then the rest of it, we can decide going forward, but we definitely need to take care of that.
Full mounts first.
That's a priority.
So are you gonna send out pricing from the quotes when you start getting that?
Some of it's on here, just so, you know,
Okay.
there's some pieces in here, like with the tree wraps, we've already gotten price on that. The 540 for smaller trees per tree, about 700 for the larger trees, that one's from the leasing company. So we're gonna see if the other vendor can meet or match or beat that, is the deal. And then it's a matter of counting up and adding up everything. But also, same thing with the pole mounts, we've got a rough number on the pole mounts. The cost can be anywhere between $400 to $1,200, and just multiplying and, you know,
Depending on the size.
right.
Right,
Well, we probably need, if y'all could put together a spreadsheet, like this is what we would pick, you know, and we got this many poles and we would pick this and this would be the price, and do all of these things on the wish list so that we could come down to a, here's what it would cost if we did this scenario kind of deal.
We'll do our best.
Yeah.
yeah. So just, if we do half the poles this year, or if we do all of them, because I know there's different types of poles, and the price is different per, right?
Okay.
Versus,
So I guess if y'all can read the information, y'all have done a lot of work on this, and we'll just let you know.
It has
Any
been
questions
more
on
work
this?
than I ever thought it would be.
A lot of detail. It's just a lot of
When we talked to
details.
3 different vendors, and it's, you know, trying to.
It's not like just going out and doing one thing and here's your
No.
price. It's, you've
No,
got all
it's
these different variables in there.
Very involved.
Whole city.
Okay.
Very involved.
but
All right, thank you for all of that. Then we have item C, we'll just take a few minutes. I put this on the agenda. I would like to see, Brian and everyone else, if we could start, when we do press releases, if we could start doing those in English and Spanish, to be able to at least put that out.
So,
In that other
on the
language.
website, certainly, but when I send it to the press, do we need Spanish in that instance, or do you think?
I guess not for the press things, but when you put it out.
On the website,
On the
because Melissa's
website
done it
and
with
the-
election stuff quite a bit, so.
Yeah.
It's, I'll use your,
No, you won't.
what?
The website, you can, there's a translate option on the website.
I got to, yeah, and then
already,
there's one in Word too, so it won't be a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when we put stuff out on Facebook and
Yes,
stuff
Yeah.
too.
okay. Would you like separate posts in Spanish?
Nice to clog the feed up.
Yeah, what would y'all think about that?
Just
Would you
turn
put
the
out?
apps on to the right language anyways, like
I don't
you're
know.
on
Oh, do
Facebook?
you? Like
Well,
when
you
you're on
can,
Facebook,
you
can
could
you do
publish
that?
it, and a lot of times they'll have press here for translation, so you could put it out in Spanish and press, I don't know how you do it the opposite way.
Yeah.
But anything that's posted in non-English usually has a little clickable link on there, and it immediately
You guys in the
translates.
police department too.
That's not a long.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm just thinking, what is the time frame? And when will you want, how soon do you want to implement this?
But as
As
soon as
soon
we
as they
can,
implement
yeah.
it.
Tomorrow. Why not?
We can work on it. I mean, it's no problem to translate. It's just the format that will do it. But
Yeah,
It's certainly easy on the website. Facebook, I'll see if there's a different way
if
to
there's
do
a
it.
different way to do
But I
it.
mean,
It is, definitely, you just view it.
Facebook will do
Everything
it for you.
becomes, translated.
Okay.
The website
whole
will do it for
thing.
you, Facebook will do
Yeah.
it for you.
Okay.
It's
Oh,
just a
okay.
matter of.
so maybe I'll put out something if you want to read it in
Yeah.
Spanish, you can, here's the option to do.
Yeah, click here for Spanish.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would work.
okay. I'll get a format and get it out.
Okay, and then item D, the discussion about certain businesses having cameras. I just wanna, we're at 7:19 and we do need a short exec session, so.
Well, last time we were talking, it was all spurred by those robberies that took place at those restaurants. But since then, I've been reading how DeKalb County and Atlanta City are now requiring cameras, surveillance cameras at gas stations and convenience stores where there are gas pumps. And, you know, I think that is a great idea to help deter. I know if I was pumping gas at 10 o'clock at night, I'd feel so much better if there were cameras and there were signs that said video surveillance is in effect or something to that.
Don't most of those places have cameras? Quick Trip place, they're all.
Yeah.
A lot of them do, but I think we just need more visibility of the fact that there are cameras.
Yeah.
Maybe make them post, if they
Well-
already have cameras, put signs up.
And, well, Chuck checked into the DeKalb one.
So their ordinance went into effect June 23rd. It actually doesn't say with gas pumps. It is convenience stores, and it defines convenience stores. But then it also goes a step further, includes what they call high-risk businesses. And that, first of all, that to me, I really would hate to call a business a high-risk
Yeah.
business, because what they classify as a high-risk business is any business that has had 3 police calls or more, or has ever had an armed robbery or an aggravated assault, a whole list of things. So basically, Walmart would become a high-risk business, a jewelry store. So
Well,
there's a,
Kohl's, Lowe's,
Kohl's, all
Home
those,
Depot,
yeah,
all of the
all
stores,
those.
because
So,
they get shoplifting calls.
you know, so those are kind of, labels they put on them, which I don't like the
I don't like
idea
that either.
of doing that. Also, we already have requirements for what they call VSSs, video surveillance systems, for our extended stay hotel, actually for our hotel motels, and then also to some degree with our short-term rentals. And so I think, if we want to do that, we really probably need to put a little more thought into it instead of just trying to do what they were doing.
Yeah,
I would like to be consistency across all of our video surveillance. Also, the mayor and I were talking about it, and Todd, that it probably makes sense that we have some kind of maybe a committee composed of stakeholders in the community, so businesses that fall into that. And there's also been a lot of successful programs where it's voluntary, where they can just voluntarily opt in. And some benefits are they can choose by opting in to share that. That's what the cab does. The cab lets you either share with the police or not share with the police. And there may be some benefits and some detriments to both.
Yeah.
So I think we probably want to put some study into that versus just
I think it's a great.
moving forward, adopting what like the cab had done. Because I think there's some opportunities to do it better.
And if we move ahead, there was trying, I've been racking my brain, I'm gonna have to do just some Google searching, but I think I'd seen a couple of articles in the last 6 months or year or so about, and I think it's more like real-time policing. And so there's, but I know it would require some systems or processes in place with the police department too, to be able to access those feeds, you know, have that link in there to those businesses that are voluntary. So we need to look at that aspect too. But I'd like to see, I know, whatever I read, there were like 2 cities that were doing that. It was like a voluntary video feed into the police department, and just how they were doing it, if there were some incentives attached to that. But we'd also have to take a look at, you know, so what does that mean at the police department?
Right, right, in terms of
What we would do and access, because that's something else I think we need to consider. We need to make sure that people didn't get the impression that we have a police officer sitting there 24/7 watching everything going on this video.
Quick Trip or whatever.
Right,
Yeah.
that there's not somebody sitting there
They're not.
watching.
They're not.
So it's really just an access tool that if an alarm goes off or a crime happens, that the police have real-time or quick access to whatever happened on that video surveillance. Personally, I'm not really comfortable with requiring a business to
Yeah.
do it. To me, it just makes sense for a business to do it. But, you know, people choose to go uninsured sometimes for silly reason, you know, or cost cutting or whatever. And for us just to put another requirement, another cost requirement on a business that, you know, may or may not be able to afford it. And then plus, then you've got, if it's a requirement, then we've got to, you know, how do we make sure that they're keeping it up and, you know, all of that stuff. So, but I do like the idea of voluntary, and I like that access to the police, you know, for the police to
Voluntary
it.
with signs that say video
Video.
surveillance in effect or something to.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
our department does have a grant request in for the ability to better interface with.
It would be like a mini version of the
Already.
county program, real-time crime.
Well, I don't know.
It would be a mini version of that.
yeah. So, yeah, but let's keep the discussion going, for
Talking
sure.
about it.
Yep.
And anything we can do to make our citizens feel as safe as possible. Yes.
All right, so if we could, we'll have a quick executive session. What am I reading? During the work session of the mayor and city council of Snellville, Georgia, Mayor Bender announced that certain matters should be discussed in a closed session of the meeting and asked council to advise the city with respect to closing the meeting. City Attorney Chuck Ross advised the city of the following reasons to close the meeting.
Potential litigation.
To discuss pending
Pending
or,
litigation.
pending or potential litigation, settlement claims, administrative proceedings, or other judicial actions, which is exempt from the Open Meetings Act pursuant to OCGA Section 50-4.